And if I'm elected, I would be the first Palestinian Mexican American elected, the first person elected to Congress who's lived in Gaza, where I maybe saw more combat there, more war than I may ever see as a naval officer at the age of 12 years old. This is a deeply personal issue to me.
In this clip, Amar Kaja goes directly after longtime Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, laying out a populist anti-corruption argument that's aimed squarely at working-class voters, including Trump voters. This isn't a polite policy chat. This is a full frontal indictment of money politics, foreign influence, and forever wars. The key figures here are Amar Kaja and Darrell Issa, and by the end of this conversation, it's very clear who looks hungry and who looks stale. We're breaking down whether Amar actually has a shot at unseating Issa, and whether Issa's record finally caught up with him. Let's be blunt. One of these guys sounds like a challenger with momentum. The other sounds like a career politician on borrowed time.
So when I ran for Congress before, with your help, we came within single digits in a district that Trump won by 15 points, meaning people who voted against Biden also voted for me, right? Some Trump voters voted for some skinny brown guy with a funny name, a Mexican Palestinian guy. It's because I talked about working class issues. It's because I talked about the grift, the greed, the corruption, the tyranny that we see in Washington. I talked about, making sure that we overturn Citizens United and get money out of our politics. I was running against a guy who has been for 20 years selling his votes to the highest bidder.
This is where the frame locks in. Issa isn't being attacked as conservative. He's being attacked as owned. That's a far more dangerous accusation.
Where there's big oil, big pharma, the big gun lobby, big tech, foreign interests, you name it. And I say it's time that we push that back forever and have somebody who will have a bold agenda to bring down costs, raise wages, get rid of our forever wars, and get money out of our politics. So I think with that message this time, Darrell's days are numbered.
It's an interesting thing about Issa. So, you're half Palestinian, he's Lebanese. So this is one of the rare Arab v. Arab races in the country,
Right.
kind of. But
Right.
so Issa used to actually say that what Israel was doing was an apartheid state. But it sounds like he's not saying that anymore. I wonder if it's because he took APAC money. Did he take APAC money?
Throughout his history, he's taken about $90,000, and he changed his tune pretty drastically in the form of a flip flop. I don't know where he stands on it, and I can't wait to get to him in the general election and ask him, where do you stand on this? Personally, I think what happened in Gaza is an atrocity. There were 30 members of my family who were killed in Gaza. What happened on October 7th was awful, and it's an atrocity itself. Two wrongs don't make a right. But Darrell Issa has been rubber stamping every single unpopular policy from this administration, whether it's his views on the Middle East, whether it's the tariffs, the big ugly bill, what's going on in Venezuela and Nigeria, the perpetual forever wars starting all over again. That's been Darrell Issa. And I have to wonder, is it because he's being funded by interests who want to perpetuate war, the industrial military complex? I'm a naval officer. I support the military, but I think we need to focus less on the wars we wage abroad and more on the battles here at home. The cost of living, housing, healthcare, groceries. People are being crushed. A lot of Trump voters will talk to me and they're like, Trump lied to us. And Darrell Issa has been rubber stamping all these policies that make us weaker, sicker, and poorer. I think people want a candidate who will put this country first and not the bidding of outside influences.
You don't take APAC money?
No,
Do you take corporate PAC money?
I don't take a single penny of corporate PAC money. In the 7 years that you've known me, never once.
That's the rule of just Democrats, and Amar was part of that as well. And that's huge because then if somebody's working for the voters or if they're working for the donors. I mean, my opinion is Issa, quote unquote, changed his mind on Israel when he got paid to change his mind.
This is the thesis of the entire campaign in one sentence: paid loyalty over principle.
I think Amar is right. It's not just about Israel. In that case, he apparently had some moral misgivings about what Israel was doing, but the money mattered more than his morality, and that seems pretty clear on the record. It's also on every donor class. So you bring up the military-industrial complex, and they've probably given away more than AIPAC has. Another issue that's huge these days and has been for a long time is things like drug prices, right? Healthcare overall, but drug prices in particular. Has Issa done anything to make sure that Medicare can negotiate drug prices? And the fact that he can't is obviously very anti-free market, very anti-capitalist. So a guy pretending to be a capitalist, has he done anything to help the American voters on that?
Not a single damn thing. He just keeps lining his pockets and selling his votes to the highest bidder.
At this point, Issa isn't being debated. He's being defined.
And, I don't take any corporate PAC money at all. I support the idea of allowing Medicare to negotiate all prescription drug prices, not just the few that we got under Biden, all of them. I support raising wages, lowering costs, making sure that private equity firms aren't buying up all the homes. No more forever wars, no more big money in our politics. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah,
And of course, last but not least, paid family leave. So both parents can go to work full time and support a dual income household. While he's focused on funding the war we're waging abroad, I'm focused on the battles we have here at home. If I'm elected, I would be the first Palestinian Mexican American elected, the first person elected to Congress who's lived in Gaza, where I saw more combat, more war than I may ever see as a naval officer at the age of 12 years old. This is a deeply personal issue to me. I think that we need to make sure our American dollars travel with American values. That's what the Leahy laws are for. When it comes to our foreign allies, we should not be sending weapons of war if they are not complying with the rules of engagement and the laws of armed conflict that all of us as military officers here in America have to abide by. I mean, if I did half Netanyahu did, I would have lost my commission.
This lands because Amar speaks as a naval officer, not a Twitter activist. Issa has no comparable credibility here.
I'd be court-martialed. All I'm asking for is for us to live up to the same values and encourage our allies, whether it's Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, or anybody else, to live up to the same rules that we have to live by as American military officers.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing that we just say to our allies, you don't have to follow any of the rules of war, international laws. Yes, we would court martial our own guys if they did what you did, but we're going to send you money anyway. That's the power of the donors. When you first ran, I remember they were going to come after you for being a Palestinian and you were concerned about that and the media reaction. But now, 8 short years later, we have a completely different dynamic. You're not taking APAC money, so instantly people think he's more trustworthy than someone who is, whether they're on the left or the right, they think that. And then on top of that, the interesting irony of the moment is that what you were concerned about 8 years ago is now potentially an advantage for you, because even when Republican voters, and definitely independent voters, let alone the left-wing voters, when they see that you're a Palestinian, part of what that triggers is, oh, that brother probably believes in American sovereignty. Like America should run itself and not let a foreign government run us. Do you think it's become a slight advantage at this point?
In a couple years, being a Palestinian American will be an asset politically. But lo and behold, we do live in that world now. And I think maybe it's shorthand for Amar believes in no more forever wars. Amar has compassion for those who are struggling in this country. And he's going to punch up against elites and corporate interests. Maybe that's what that means to people. I look at Trump and the right, not everybody from the right, but I often look at Trump's rhetoric, and he punches down at the immigrant, the undocumented, Muslims, trans kids. And that's 1% of the population. It's the wrong 1%. You got to be focused on the elites and the oligarchs and the corporate interests and the corporate welfare that's going around this country. And for me, my focus is I'm going to put people first. I'm going to put this country above all else. And those are my policies. My goal, honestly, if I get to Congress, I'd love to do shuttle diplomacy and help broker a peace deal between the Palestinians and Israelis. My heart breaks when I hear an Israeli child was killed by Hamas. The same way I despair over the killing of an innocent Palestinian child or woman or non-combatant by weapons that we sent over. My heart breaks. And in fact, I don't think those are mutually exclusive. If you're going to be morally consistent, you need to feel despair for both. And my hope is that we could live in a world where Palestinians and Israelis could live side by side in peace, prosperity, and self-determination. And I'm deeply invested in that kind of future. What I'm saying here is we need to have peace and prosperity for everybody. And the safety of Israelis is inextricably bound to the safety of Palestinians. As someone who lived there, I'm telling you from lived experience that we need to have peace for both people, not just one side.
There are important distinctions, right? So I would say screw the Israeli government today, but I wouldn't say that about the Israeli people. What we want at the end, because we're for peace, we're for nonviolence, we're for common humanity, and we don't discriminate based on religion, race, nationality, etc. So
Right.
we all want a safe and independent Israel and Palestine.
That's right.
And I think that the great majority of Americans want that. Okay, so now how's the race? Because in the past, as you said, this was a plus 15 district for Trump. So very hard to win in that district. Current district has changed, current polling, blueprint polling. Let me read that to you. In the initial head-to-head, Amar Kaja leads Darrell Issa 43-40. Kaja leads Issa among moderates, 45-26 among moderates. Women 47-38, and voters under 45 years old 46-30. Geographically, he begins with a 15-point advantage in San Diego County, 49-34. After voters heard short biographies of both candidates, Kaja's lead expands to 48-40 for Issa.
The way we're going to win this race and increase that margin is by people going to our website, going to Amar, AMMAR, FOR, Congress.com, pitching what you can, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. I don't take any corporate money, but they are going to be coming after me because I'm out there saying we need to tax the shit out of wealth and not work. We need to raise wages, lower costs. We need to expand healthcare. Look, I'm a military officer. I have TRICARE. It's government-run healthcare, and it works pretty good. So we need to expand more healthcare coverage for more people, no more forever wars, and we have to make peace more profitable than war by investing here at home. Those are the things that I believe in, but you know those corporate interests are going to be coming after me every step of the way. They're going to accuse me of being all this shit. They're going to call me a terrorist even though I'm a naval officer serving my country. They're going to say all kinds of stuff. So what I need from you is to pitch into our campaign to help us just get the truth out. If we do that, we win this race.
Volunteer and whatever else you can do, because a lot of seats are in play that were not in play before. This now is arguably a Democratic district, and Issa is one of the worst guys in Congress. So there's a lot of factors going in here towards Amar's side. So if you want to help, that makes sense to me. And obviously, you saw his policies were literally nearly identical to the populist plank, which obviously we support here. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Amar, last question. What do you think is the biggest problem right now in America for our government, and how can we fix it?
Good question. People keep asking me, Amar, is our democracy going to save us? And I don't think so. I think we have to save it. And I think the biggest threat to any democracy is apathy. If every person who believed what we believe actually showed up and voted, we would never have the government we have today. But they just get tuned off. So apathy is the biggest challenge that we face. Apathy is the reason that we have income inequality. In this state, we're the richest and poorest state in the union. It's the reason that we have a concentration of power, both political and economic, at the top, because the rest of us are just going about our lives. We're too busy. We don't think politics actually has a role in our lives, but it does. So I think the biggest problem is apathy. And what we need to do, and what I need to do, is knock, walk, talk to voters, inspire them, not just by being the opposition party to Trump. We have to be the opportunity party for working class people with an affirmative message to bring down costs, raise wages, and have a real backbone and say, we're going to fight for the things that matter. We're going to fight for a populist plank. We're going to fight to lift people up and encourage them to believe that there are people like us who are actually willing to do the bidding of working people, not corporations and special interests.
Who is winning this? Let's be clear. Amar Kaja is winning the narrative battle, not because he's perfect, but because Issa has no counterstory. Issa looks like a career incumbent, funded by every powerful interest, rubber stamping wars and bad policy, completely disconnected from cost of living reality. Amar looks like a populist challenger, backed by small donors, willing to attack elites directly, comfortable talking to Trump voters, independents, and Democrats. The polling backs this up. Moderates, women, under 45 voters. Issa is bleeding support where incumbents can't afford to. Final verdict. This is the most serious threat Darrell Issa has faced in years. Not because Amar is radical, but because Issa is exposed. If this race stays about money, corruption, and war, Issa loses. If it turns into culture war noise, Issa survives. Right now, momentum favors the challenger.
All right, AmarForCongress.com, and we'll have the link down below in the description box wherever you're watching this. Mark on the precipice of knocking out one of the worst Republican congressmen in my lifetime. Thanks for joining us, brother. We appreciate it.
Man, thank you. Good to be with you, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.